I am almost 26 years old. I've been working since I was 18, and every single job I've had so far has been remote, flexible schedule, and basically allowed me to work from anywhere in the world. Here is a step by step of exactly everything I've done from the beginning of my job searching experience all the way to present. The question I get by far the most whenever I tell anyone to ask me for any piece of advice is, how do I get a remote job? And there is not one black and white answer. There is not one specific platform on the internet where you can just go apply for a job and get a remote job. So I really want to show you every single thing I've done throughout the years to lead me to where I am today. Now, my story is unique, as is every story of anyone who has ever been in this field. And I truly believe that there are as many opportunities as there are people. All of them are very different depending on your set of skills and depending on who you are as a person. But I will tell you everything I've done, all my mistakes, all of my lessons, and hopefully you can also learn something out of it and apply it to your own life. So, the one thing you need to understand about me is that I have no specific skills. I am not a programmer, I am not an engineer, I don't know anything about anything. Okay, so I feel very qualified to give this advice because I am a very untalented person. I don't have any, I'm not well rounded. I am not well rounded. I don't have any specific talents. I do not have a specific inclination for anything. I was just an okay student in school. The one thing I was really excelling at was foreign languages. And, you know, when you know English really well, yes, that is, of course, a big help, but it's not one thing that will really set you apart from any other contestants, right? And especially nowadays in the age of AI, English is not even a huge requirement. Like, yes, you need to know English enough to get around, but AI, ChatGPT, you know, Grammarly and everything will correct your English for you. So don't even worry about that. Like, I really, really, really want you to understand that there's opportunity everywhere, no matter what it is that you do and you like doing. So I am 18 years old and I am made to apply for like an IT university, or, you know, one of those fields where in Romania you are not considered a failure. And those fields I always hated. And I apply for these universities, I get in, and I know in my heart that I will hate myself forever if I truly choose to study this. And so secretly, I apply for a university in the UK. So on the day that I'm supposed to enroll into my Romanian university, I tell my parents, I'm sorry, I'm taken. And so I go and study tourism in the UK. Now, I knew from the very beginning of this path that a tourism degree is most likely going to be worthless. Nevertheless, I wanted to study something that I enjoyed. For the first time in my life, I wanted to just go all in into something just because it brings me joy and nothing else, no other reason. That is also the reason why I applied for a university in the UK instead of in Romania, because I wanted to travel, I wanted to experience living abroad. And so I moved to the UK, and the only condition for my parents to actually let me study there is to never ask them for money. I get what is called a 0-hour contract. In the UK, this is a contract where they just hit you up whenever they have an available position for you, and it can be at a different venue and a different kind of job every single night. So I do that. I accept every single proposal that they give to me. Every single proposal, no matter how far away from the city, I accept everything. I just cannot make ends meet. I was struggling so much and I was generally in the most depressive, dark period of my life. And I had to ask my dad for money. I had one of the biggest fights of my life with my dad, and it was just traumatic. I couldn't sleep at night. I had insomnia. I couldn't focus on classes. I couldn't focus on work. It was terrible. And so I decided I will take matters into my own hands and I will go ahead and beg for money on the internet. So I actually reached out to 3 people, which is insane. And I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I reached out to 3 people. First one was Jeffree Star. Jeffree Star. Second one was Cardi B. Mad respect for Cardi B. She never replied to me, but I still love that. I love her. I love her. Okay. Third one was an influencer that I really loved at the time. She was like a travel and feminist influencer. Her name was, I don't know if I should say her name. I will say her name. Her name was Dear Aline. And Dear Aline saw my messages, replied to them. It was because I had previously replied to her stories, because I really was a fan of her. Like, whenever she would post a story, I would have her, you know, her story icon first up showing in my Instagram. Like, I would always interact with her stories. So like, she kind of knew my Instagram profile just from like the profile picture, and she saw that there is a history in the conversation. I wasn't just like randomly messaging her. So she knew I knew her content. There was a familiarity there that it's kind of hard to find when you are putting out job applications. So she was like, you know what? I actually need an assistant, and I can pay you about $10 an hour. If you're okay with that, then we can get going. And I was like, hell yeah, I am so on board. This was supposed to be 10 hours a week, 10 hours, $10 an hour job. However, I truly wanted to give my best so much that I think I would spend probably 20 to 30 hours every week working for her. And I was only paid for the 10 hours, but that's okay. When I started working with her, I knew absolutely nothing. I remember not knowing what an invoice is. I remember her being kind of frustrated with me because I would ask her, oh, what is this? What is that? And she would just be like, Google it. I don't want to answer these basic questions. Google it. Which was fair, to be honest, because I was really new to absolutely everything. My first ever real job. I stayed with Aline for about 2 years. In these 2 years, I did not have a good salary. I was still struggling just as much, almost as much as I was in the beginning. I initially had a $500 a month salary for a job that was basically 60 hours a week. It was more than full-time. It was 24/7. And then I remember the salary increased to, I believe, 800. And then she gave me an opportunity, or maybe her boyfriend at that time gave me an opportunity, which was that I can work with her boyfriend into the Nas Daily company. He's an influencer that has like millions of followers. I don't know, whatever. And so I had like a double contract somehow. I worked with Aline as well as worked with Nas Daily, and my salary for both of these shows was $1,000 a month. And I genuinely think I was working 70 hours in a week. I'm not kidding. Like, I was online 24/7. I was barely getting any sleep, and all of this while I was still going to university, but basically always working in classes. Now, is all of this struggle necessary to get started with a remote job? Absolutely not. I was absolutely taken advantage of as a very young girl, fresh to the job market, and as a Romanian, because as a Romanian, I truly believe that I don't deserve a livable wage. I truly believe that $500 a month is as much as I can get. Now, the salary wasn't great, but the opportunities were really nice because I was so good at my job. And in the beginning, I was kind of doing like assistant work, just admin work, answering emails, scheduling her appointment, whatever, like very basic stuff. You know, if she wanted to have a dentist appointment, I would call in. If she wanted to find out like what her travel insurance covers, I would be the one who does the research. If she wanted to like open up a business in another country to pay less taxes, I would do the research for her. Just like very basic stuff like that. Anyone can do what I was doing. But because I was actually good and excited and I wanted to give my best every single time, she ended up taking me with her on a retreat, because one of her side businesses, aside from making videos, was organizing retreats for entrepreneurs and for like really cool women. And there I met some of the coolest people of my life. And these people ended up finding out, there was a lot of drama, but in short, they ended up finding out that I was making very little money, and they saw the amount of work that I was putting in, and they told me it is not okay. They told me I can get much better opportunities with my level of experience and my level of involvement. I can get a better salary in much better companies with bosses that will actually treat me well. And it took me probably another half a year to let this sink in and sleep on this thought and realize that indeed I have to let go of this miraculous job offer that I was able to get when I was 18 years old, and realize that there is better out there. There is better for me. Just because this was a great opportunity for me back then, it doesn't mean that now when I am 21, it's still something good. And so it was my community and my network that was able to push me out of a toxic job. Essentially what happened after about 3 years of working with Aline, I asked her for a raise. And I asked her for, I believe, about $50,000 a year, which was way more that I ever believed I would make in my entire life. I knew from the beginning she was gonna say no. So in my head, I already planned that I will only accept to stay longer in this work environment if she pays me at least $3,000 a month. And she said, no, I'm gonna pay you $2,000. You take it or leave it. And because I'm a pushover, I said, okay, that's fine. I will accept $2,000 a month. Now, the moment I accepted the $2,000, the work dynamic
shifted. Like I was I was the best in the company, but all of a sudden I had to do the worst chores. I had to go back to ground zero, to level one. I had to do exactly what I was doing back when I was 18 years old and had no idea what I was talking about, right? I could see that she was giving her best to punish me for asking for a raise. And I only lasted for another 2 months at a 2,000 a month salary, which a $2,000 a month salary for a 20-year-old Romanian is an insane amount of money. Okay, you have to understand that Romania is a country where people that are in their early 20s barely make $500 a month. So for me, it was again a huge thing to leave this job opportunity, but I had to. I just couldn't take it anymore.
Now, this job did allow me to travel and it allowed me to learn and it allowed me to realize that there are so many opportunities out there. So I am forever grateful for this job, even though it has been such a shitty experience, to be honest. And the lessons that I need you to learn from this is that when I realized there is no hope for me to find a job, I created my own opportunity. I also want you to keep in mind that the reason why I am where I am today, which is in a much better place, is because I was able to let go of the toxic work environment and find something else for myself. Now, the second phase is my freelancing phase. It is the phase where I decided I don't want to work just for one person and I can actually have multiple clients. And if I find a handful of clients that pay me like $300, $500 every month, then I can have a lot of money. And that is what I did based on my network that I found at my previous jobs. I was able to get a lot of clients that needed mainly social media work. Sometimes I would attend some retreats and take content myself or edit the content for them. Or sometimes I would just attend retreats as like an assistant or a helper. These freelancing jobs have lasted me from 21 to 24 years old, so maybe around 3 years. And in all of these years, I have been extremely anxious to find clients over clients. And some of these clients were long term, which was great. I had some people that I worked with for maybe 1 year at a time, and they would pay me consistently like $700, $800 a month. So there would be always like a little source of income coming to me. But the moment I would have a client forget to send in the footage or not having enough time to film the content to send it to me, then my income would fluctuate a lot and I would always have to be very careful about the way I spend my money. It was just not reliable, even though I was making, I would say, about $1,000 to $1,500 consistently at this point in time. But keep in mind, this was before taxes, so it was really hard to be able to enjoy my money, to be honest. Now, I knew in the back of my head that I truly needed to find a serious job. Like, I needed to find one good client that wants my services consistently. But I just could not get myself to apply to jobs. I knew that the job market is so shit, especially for people who want to be digital nomads, that I was terrified of applying to jobs. But whatever you are terrified of will end up finding you, because after about 3 years of doing freelance, all of a sudden all of my clients just vanished. It wasn't anything bad, it wasn't because I did something, it was just because all of them had different life circumstances where they just wanted to stop working with me. Someone had a baby, someone decided to sell off their Airbnb for which I was doing the marketing, someone decided that they just don't want to do anything anymore and they want to retire. All sorts of situations, they just happened at the same time, as if the universe was pushing me to try something new. And looking back again, that was an extremely stressful moment of my life. I had to cancel a lot of my trips. I had to, cancel a lot of meetings with my friends around the world, which was really hurtful, but it had to be done. I had no source of income anymore all of a sudden. And so I was pushed into having to find a job. And so the job search started and it was terrible. It I have At this point I had a killer resume. Okay. I have worked with influencers with thousands to millions of followers. I have worked with big companies, with small businesses, with whatever. I have worked with everyone and everything. And still, I felt like I was never a master of my trade. I was more like a jack of all trades. I knew a little bit of everything, but I didn't have like one degree or one thing about myself that really makes me stand out. So I felt like it would have been really hard to get a job. And it was one thing that I did and that I encourage everyone all the time to do when you are looking for any opportunity, not just jobs, is you need to talk to your people. You need to talk to your community, your network, and your friends and tell them that you are looking for this or that. And that is exactly what I did. I posted on my social media. I don't have a lot of followers on my social media, just my friends, like 1,000 followers. I told all of my friends and all of the digital nomads that I knew, and I posted in Facebook groups, and I told everyone I need a remote job. Anyone knows anything? This is what I specialize in, yada yada yada. Out of all of these people, there was one friend. She wasn't even like a close friend. It was like a distant like acquaintance that was following this very small influencer on Instagram. Her name is Elena. And Elena was looking for an executive assistant for one of her businesses. This business was a very new thing. It is organizing trips around the world for families of kids that are worse schooled, kids that are learning outside of the school system. And I saw the job application and I thought, oh my God, this is the perfect job for me. Not only is this remote and flexible, but it is traveling. It is the one thing that I wanted to do my entire life. I would be organizing trips for people. That is so cool. I know how to do that. That's the one thing I feel like I can really specialize myself in. And so I applied for the job. And while I was filling up this application, I swear to God, I took 4 hours to fill it up. I was reaching flow state. I pressed send on the form, and I have this feeling, this overwhelming feeling around me that it's gonna end up being okay. Like, I will get this job. I really felt like I don't have to worry anymore. Matter of fact, I stopped applying to any other job after I applied for this one. I was like, I took 4 hours to complete this form application. I'm not applying to anything anymore because I know I'm gonna get it. Now, a few days roll by, I get an email from Elena, and I open it very excitedly, and the first thing that I see is unfortunately. And I'm like, there's no fucking way they rejected me. I was in a state of denial. I was truly like, what do you mean? You rejected me. I am the best person for this job. And so I take matters into my own hands once again, and I send an email back. Something like, are you sure? Are you sure you are rejecting me? Because I truly believe this job is the perfect fit for me, and I really think I can be like a valuable addition to your team, whatever, whatever. And I get an email back a few days later, and she says, you know what? We decided to hire someone that we had previously worked freelance with before because we already knew her. But reading your application again after you send me this email, I decided I want to hire a second person and I will hire you. We jumped on an interview. She asked me how much money I want in the application form, and I said between $2,000 to $2,500. She gave me $2,500, which I thought was really nice. Like, she didn't even negotiate; she just gave me the bigger amount. And I've been working with Elena for the past 2 years now, and we've built her company from 2,000 people in her Facebook community to over 200,000 people on all platforms, and it's absolutely insane. And I cannot explain how much I love my job and how secure I feel in my job right now. It is a very good salary. I have gotten raises since. It is very good working hours. The work environment is insane. It's the most insane work environment. Everyone I work with is so amazing. My bosses are absolutely amazing and super social, and I was never yelled at in my entire job here. And I've done a lot of stupid mistakes because everyone does mistakes, okay? But it's just an amazing job. It fills my heart with joy to be able to say that I am finally that person that has a career that they truly enjoy and they see themselves staying with a company for a very long period of time because that company is truly good to them. And so what I am doing right now is I organize tours around the world for families. I pretty much am the director of this company and I overlook the whole team, flow into whatever it is that I enjoy doing, and my bosses understand that that is the way to go when it comes to hiring new people. You have to let them choose what it is that they are good at in order for them to enjoy the job. And so this has been my journey of becoming a digital nomad. It has been a very tumultuous journey, but if there is one takeaway that I want you to get from this is that you should always follow your guts. And I believe that truly the moment I decided to skip the Romanian university and go study tourism in another country because I love travel, I knew from that moment that I was destined to work in the tourism industry. And one way or another, if I believe in myself enough and I trust my intuition enough, I will end up working the job that I want to work for my entire life, which I am now. Because I never really knew what I wanted to do, and I never really knew that the job that I want to do even existed. But every single little decision that I took throughout my life led me to where I am today. I really hope this helped. If you have any questions, please put them down in the comment section. I will answer everything. Maybe I will make another video if I need to. And yes, thank you for watching. I will see you on the next one. Bye bye.